Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 20th episode of the Geekcast podcast. My name is Greg St. Clair.
Dan Whitehead.
Patrick Howard. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back. We are officially back at school for the academic year of 2016. After the blizzard that happened, school was supposed to start on Monday, but it got pushed back into Tuesday.
Which got pushed back into Wednesday.
For people to move in. We had our first day of classes yesterday. I had an 8 a.m. class, and my teacher accidentally said floppy dicks instead of floppy disks in class. Did I tell you that story?
You told me that
last
story.
night,
Yeah. Really funny. Really funny. Nothing like a good dick joke and 8:30 a.m., you know? It's always good.
In accounting. Yeah.
In accounting, yeah. Dan did absolutely nothing yesterday.
No, because I don't have classes on Thursday.
You're
Why don't you
supposed to
cry
have
about it?
You're supposed to have like an internship interview or something like that.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying much about it because in case it ever comes back to me.
You want to jinx it, yeah?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
that's okay. Long story short, I had an interview, didn't happen for an internship, and that's what it is. But yeah. So I think the best way to start off this first episode of 2016 is to talk about what happened in 2015. Kind of wrap up what we did or what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. We're not going to mention that space opera. We're all done with that.
Yeah.
We're not even going to say its name.
We beat it to death.
Damn it.
But if you want to hear us say those words, go back and listen to episode 19. We did an entire episode on it, and we've mentioned it in other episodes before, so go back and do that. But there's plenty of other movies that came out in 2015, some really good ones, some really bad ones, and we're going to talk about both.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have a jumping off point that they're just totally
I think
interested in?
Patrick had his top 10 figured out
Let's hear it,
before
Patrick.
any of us.
I did. I posted it around, I think, December 31st. I posted my top 10 on Facebook. So my top 10, going from 10 to 1, 10 was Spy, 9 was Ant-Man, 8 was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, 7 was Bridge of Spies, 6 was Creed, 5 was Kingsman, The Secret Service, 4, The Martian, 3, that space opera that I can't say, 2, Mad Max Fury Road, and 1 was Inside Out.
I can't believe you didn't put Jurassic World on there.
It was a fun movie, a very dumb movie, but honestly, there was just so many better crafted movies that came out that year that I just honestly it would be in my top 20. But
I always forget that Kingsman came out in 2015.
Yeah,
I feel like I saw it a while.
We saw it the
years
day
ago.
it came out.
Was it?
At least the same weekend.
It would have been February.
But it seems so long ago. That was the first one on my list for the one I saw in 2015. The first movie I saw in 2015 that came out in theaters was Kingsman.
Yeah, because every time they say, 2015 Kingsman, and I'm like, wasn't that like 2014, like early 2014?
Yeah, right.
I thought it was.
Feels like so far away, but still a good. That was a good list.
Then Dan, didn't you say they're filming it right now, or they're suiting up, or whatever you said?
Oh, Taron Egerton, the who plays Eggsy, is getting fitted for his new suits to start filming soon, which I think some the producers are saying spring, whereas Taron Egerton was saying in the summer of this year to film it and then probably be out next year.
Right.
Super excited.
And I just watched this trailer, Eddie the Eagle, with him and Hugh Jackman. That showed at Sundance, and it's kind of like your traditional underdog story, but it's getting good reviews, and I think it's kind of cool that those two were paired up. So I'd like to see that.
That's where they're asking him all the questions about Kingsman. They're kind of like, yeah, this movie's great, but let's talk about Kingsman because that's like
shit that really matters.
Yeah.
And same with Hugh Jackman. It's like, all right, let's talk about Wolverine because that's all people care about with Hugh Jackman, unfortunately or fortunately in some cases. That one's too early to talk about yet, so we won't get there yet.
Right.
But my list was probably very similar, not so much that order, but just like those movies. I didn't see Mission Impossible. I'm not a huge Mission Impossible fan. I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan to begin with. But I heard it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's kind of the same plot and the same formula as the other movies, but surprisingly, what keeps this franchise going is that they keep on topping themselves with these stunts. Like the stunts is why you go to see these movies, and
like the Fast and Furious franchise.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah. So it's like this is like our kind of James Bond, where like it just gets racked up on and on.
Which I noticed you didn't put Spectre on there, so you didn't enjoy Spectre?
I was really disappointed with Spectre. There was a few. I know you didn't like the action scenes, but there were a few action set pieces that I did like.
Right.
But I just did not like how the whole story was handled, how Christoph Waltz's villain was handled, and yeah, it was probably one of the most disappointing movies.
And I don't know that it was his fault entirely. I think it was
no,
just
I don't blame
the way
him.
that
It
they
was
wrote
just
it.
the writer and I guess Sam Mendes' direction. I suppose.
Yeah.
As well.
I would have put I probably would have put Creed as like 2.
Yeah, I figured.
I don't know if I would put 1, but I would say Southpaw was on there for me. If you see, there's a theme there, like boxing movies. Creed, Southpaw. I'm gonna have to say it because
Don't say it, the actual name. Just say the movie that we can't say.
Oh, the movie we can't say. I'm not putting them in any specific order, but
Yeah.
these are just the movies I enjoyed this year. What else do I like? Spotlight I enjoyed, which is one of the Oscar movies.
It's like, yeah, that one and The Big Short. Those were like the two ones that came out of nowhere that everyone's talking about now.
Big Short
I'll talk about Big
first
Short.
this year, and I have some stuff to say about that. What else? Kingsman, which again I keep forgetting is this year. Inside Out was good. I have to see it again because I saw it on a bootleg copy of
really?
it. Yeah, well, the computer. What else did I see this year that I enjoyed? Ant-Man was good, really solid. Avengers was pretty good.
That was like my runner-up.
Yeah, I saw the second time, and it was still enjoyable and everything, but it's definitely not the magic of the first one. What I liked about the first one and why it works in these kind of movies is the assembling the team is so much better than maintaining the team.
Yeah,
You
plus, the first one had like the novelty of actually seeing like this payoff.
Right.
That was like in the making since 2008 with Iron Man. But now, because honestly, I like Avengers 2 almost just as much as the first one, but I think those two movies almost kind of, since they're pretty much the same movie, they also had kind of the same problems for me. But since the novelty wore off with the second one, I think people were starting to notice like the problems that were actually in it. So, like,
right. And yeah, so I just think, like we were just talking about, I got Magnificent Seven. That's a really good movie because you're seeing these people have to like come together that have never worked together before and now become this team, this unit of people and stuff like that. So I think that makes it more enjoyable. And you said it like with pulling, like we've been watching 4 years leading up to it, and then we're like, oh, cool, it all came together, and now we're like, it's been together already now a couple of years and stuff. That being said, I do think Infinity War, both parts would be really cool because that'll be like the big conclusion.
it better be with
really
the amount of money I think they're putting into it.
I just don't know what they're going to do after it. It's kind of be like kaboom, and this whole big stuff happens. This person dies, and these characters
think they're just
die.
almost like going to go back to square one, where they're just doing origin stories now.
They
Like
are.
Captain Marvel is like coming out in
They're doing
2019.
that. They're doing what the hell?
Like, are they going to do in the next wave of
I think, like,
Avengers? I guess.
Inhumans.
Yes, Inhumans.
Inhumans. That's it.
And that's like a squad in itself, really. Which I think Inhumans is like Black Bolt.
Is that like?
Yes.
Is that with bad guys?
No.
Oh, okay.
They're just like their own.
They're kind of
species of,
like
heroes.
mutants, kind of like Avengers, like they're kind of both of them.
Okay, I
mixed
thought
together.
they were like Marvel's Suicide Squad or something like that.
No.
No.
I don't know that they have one.
They do.
they do.
They do in Civil
Oh,
War.
Sinister Six. They have.
Well, the Sinister Six, but that's not even a government
It's
thing
just
with those
Spider-Man
people.
stuff,
It's
right?
just evil people creating a league.
Not trying to do like a good
It's
thing.
not like
Right.
a government thing.
Right.
But in Civil War, when they were trying to get Spider-Man, they kind of did a Suicide Squad thing. I think they called it like Project X.
I remember
or
that actually.
something.
Yeah,
Project
the
X,
comic,
something like that, where they released like Venom and all these
I
different
think
villains
Toad like was like the X-Men or something like that.
to go
Yeah.
get Spider-Man. So
Right.
They tried.
Yeah,
And-
but
and-
Suicide Squad's much better.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about that
The
trailer,
trailer,
in a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
If we get to it.
If we get to it today, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for this session.
Right. Well, what we're doing for this is because there's so much content since we've been off for 6 weeks.
Especially in the superhero realm.
Right. We might break this up into a couple segments, have like 20 part 1, 20 part 2, whatever. We'll see how we feel. And if it gets to be like over like an hour and
By
a
the
half.
time we like start to talk about the stuff, then
we'll break
save
it up. So if you're listening to part 2 and it just randomly starts without an intro, that's why, because I just cut it in half.
Mm-hmm.
But we hope that you would listen to both parts.
Yes.
Or any of the parts.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, what was your...
So I'll talk
movie?
about like the different movies that are not so critically acclaimed and so
right, obvious to like
cinematic. I really one of the movies I really enjoyed this year in 2015 was the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. I didn't think I was going to. The concept of having them like out of water, like the animated 3D
live action
Neutron
stuff,
type
like,
thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was gonna go over well, but it didn't happen until like the last half hour of the movie, and it actually held up on its own. It's definitely not as good as the first movie, but it's not as bad as you think it's gonna be.
I heard it's mostly 2D animation.
It's mostly 2D,
which is nice because we don't get that in America
2D,
really at all anymore.
and it's really really interesting. So if you're ever on the fence about it, I recommend you see it just because it is actually not as bad as you think it's going to be. Let's see here. Another one I liked a lot. Ted 2
Oh yeah.
is another
I like
one.
Ted 2, yeah.
Ted 2, my personal opinion, is better than the first one. Way funnier than the first one. Storyline's a little bit... It's not better, but every event that happens makes it seem better. Like when they go to Comic-Con and all the different adventures they go on with Amanda Seyfried. I think...
And I liked Seyfried better than Mila Kunis. I felt she fit better with them.
I agree. She gelled with Wahlberg and I guess McFarlane. I guess you could say. Yeah.
Better, yeah. Than
That's
Mila,
Ted, yeah.
Even though Mila Kunis has been working with Seth MacFarlane
Yeah,
for
you would
years,
think, but no, it's
you're
weird.
still like, yeah.
Another one is Not As Bad As You Think. It should be a segment. Not As Bad As You Think.
Is that the name of the movie?
No. It should be a segment.
Oh, okay.
Another movie that was not as bad as you thought it was going to be was Pixels with Adam Sandler.
Didn't see it.
I saw
Didn't
it.
see
I was on vacation with my family, and it was one that we all agreed upon to see. So I wasn't totally keen on. Who are you waving to?
Rachel.
Yeah. Hi, friends. We have friends outside. We have friends. We swear.
At least ones that wave at us.
But what was I say? Oh yeah, it's not that bad. It kind of the humor is a little more similar to like the first Grown Ups movie, where it's silly, but it's like culturally silly in their sense, not like a Billy Madison silly.
That's a classic.
It is a classic, but it's very silly humor. It's very interesting. Plus, Ashley Benson's in it. It was super. That was weird. It was super hot. So it's always good to see her. Josh Gad's in there. He's really, really funny. Kevin James, Peter Dinklage is in there. Very, very good. Let's see what else we got here. Beast No Nation. I think we talked about in one of the episodes. That was also a really, really good one on Netflix and very dramatic, very emotional.
Great cinematography.
Great story overall. The Intern, which was a romantic comedy with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, who my dad and I keep saying Robert De Niro's in like everything right now. Like the past 2 years, he's become in a lot.
Unfortunately, I think he's become a bit of a sellout because he's not getting these roles anymore. Like the older he gets, the less roles he's getting. You're never going to see him in a Goodfellas type of role unless they make The Irishman finally. But otherwise, you're never going to see him in a Goodfellas or a Taxi Driver. Like all these kind of like movies that he's going to be remembered for. You're going to keep seeing him in these dirty grandpas, these interns.
But he's having a moment like Samuel L. Jackson, where he's just, no matter what the role is, he's just in the movie somehow. He was in Joy. I'm sure it is money. But nevertheless, The Intern is very, very good. Follows Robert De Niro's character, who's 60, 70 years old, and decides to intern for this startup online clothes company, who the CEO is Anne Hathaway, and they go through different roller coasters of things that are going on in her life, things that are going on in his life. It was very, very nice. If you want like a cute date type movie. I don't know why I'm talking to Dan or Pat about this, but you want to go see it.
I don't roll that way.
You don't roll that way?
Yeah.
Homie doesn't play that.
Homie don't play that. All right. And Dan mentioned it earlier when he was talking about his movies, but The Big Short that came out, it like kind of came out in December, but also came out more in like January, but technically it was released in December of 2015, so we can still talk about it. The Big Short is about the 2008 recession financial crisis that follows the subprime mortgage rates collapsing. And I was talking to Dan about it, is one of the challenges of watching the movie is the terminology and what's going on. And if you don't really understand what's going on with what they're saying, it's really, really challenging to try to enjoy it more.
Absolutely.
One part that was really funny that I thought they actually did a pretty good job of trying to explain it to people who don't know what they're talking about is they would have random cuts to random celebrities who would explain what's going on. So Ryan Gosling's is narrating the entire movie. He's like, oh, here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath to explain this. And she's like in a bubble bath, like a wine glass, just like chilling back. And like every single guy they're mainly older guys, but they were still like popping boners in there because Margot Robbie in the bathtub. I mean, come on. And the next one was like Anthony Bourdain and there was Selena Gomez and somebody else. But I thought that was really funny.
And then when she finishes, Margot Robbie's like, all right, now get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. But I thought the movie was really good. It's really interesting, and you'll know you get it if you just feel like super pissed off at the end of it, because it shows just how much like the banks screwed over everybody and they totally got away with it. And there's a really good depiction of that, of what's going on. And at the end, I'm just like, oh, these fucking bastards, these fucking thieves. What the hell's going on? What kind of country is this? So
it's America.
It is America. I recommend seeing it because if you like, we were in high school, middle school for
when that happened,
2008. The recession, financial crisis happened. So for our generation, we knew it happened, but we didn't know what the effect of it was. Really. If you want to know and kind of get a feel of like what was going on, like go see it, because it really does give you a better idea of what happened and what caused it and what were the events after the aftermath. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed the movie.
I mean, yeah, I thought the acting was top notch and it had a lot of good stars in it and stuff like that, but I was just too lost to like really. You need
like the right writer like Aaron Sorkin, because like in the show West Wing,
he loves Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, I do. Okay. In the show West Wing, that has a lot of terminology, but Aaron Sorkin, he knows how to really apply like humor into it, so you can actually understand it and still get into these characters. And
well, I mean, Adam McKay did a great job.
Like, that's why I see it, because
for that to be an Adam McKay movie is phenomenal. And for those who don't know Adam McKay pretty much writes every single Will Ferrell movie ever.
Right.
He's had a hand.
Most famously
Anchorman, Step Brothers he was a part of. He used to be a writer for SNL, and then him and Will and John C. Reilly really all hit it off. And that's why you see John C. Reilly, who plays Dale in Step Brothers, and Cal and Talladega Nights, all that stuff. They're all together. So to have him write this
more reserved,
kind of not like serious, but it's serious concept. The topic's very serious. To have him write that, I thought it was a great job. Dan and I were talking about Steve Carell's performance, Dan, who has seen The Office. I haven't really seen The Office, but only sees Michael.
I only see Steve Carell as Michael Scott now. In any movie, it doesn't matter.
It's a problem.
I mean, it is, because like his voice is very specific, Steve Carell, and it's like he doesn't really change it or anything, like make it deeper or an accent or anything like that.
If you heard a voice like a turtle, you still see Michael Scott.
Right. So it just like that's Michael Scott, and the silliness and like all that stuff, no matter how serious he's trying to be, is always there to me. And like in the back of my mind, I'm always picturing funny scenes from The Office. So I had a tough time like getting like emotionally behind Steve Carell, because I was kind of like, he's Michael Scott. All I kept picturing was that meme. You've probably seen it, but I know what the context is, where he's like, no, God, please, no. Like, I know where that comes from. So like that's what I'm always thinking of, and it cracks me up every time.
I said that Steve Carell's role in The Big Short was kind of his lost audition tape for The Wolf of Wall Street, just because it's all in the same world technically, but it just fits so well.
We were talking about it with somebody, my dad and I, about The Big Short, and then they brought up Wolf of Wall Street because they're like, oh, that's like the same thing or whatever. But I said, yeah, but the reason to me I enjoyed Wolf of Wall Street way more, it's one of my favorites, is because they focused way more on the Playboy fun side of it, the drugs and this kind of thing, versus like the physical business side. Yeah, they explained like the business side, but it was kind of like a second thought.
Really
whereas Big Short was mostly the business side.
Yeah.
So I think, and they're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense and whatever. So I love The Wolf of Wall Street. I can't say that enough.
Oh, I've seen it 6 times.
My only complaint is if it was just a hair shorter.
That's my complaint. That it doesn't really need to be 3 hours long.
Otherwise, it's a masterpiece.
I really want to see the uncut version where it's like 4 hours. I really want to see it so bad.
5
hours. I want to see it. I really want to see it.
Yeah. It can go on just a little long, but I think the acting is there. I think the humor's there. All that stuff is fun. Yeah. So,
but another one we didn't necessarily talk about. Did you see Hateful Eight?
I did not.
So
you didn't miss anything.
Hateful Eight is the new Quentin Tarantino movie that just came out on Christmas Day, of which Quentin Tarantino was severely pissed because Star Wars was extending the stay. Oh, I said it.
Yeah.
Damn it, I said it.
Out in the hall.
Out in the hall.
You didn't bring you didn't bring for our thing for our new segment.
What's who the hell? Yeah.
No, not that. The Mad Libs.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
But since I said, I'm going to continue saying it. Star Wars is extended to stay in the theaters, And during the time of the Hateful Eight, and Quentin Tarantino was like, "Oh, they're gonna ruin my money because everyone's gonna go see Star Wars." Sorry, Quentin Tarantino. You're not gonna lose any money because people want to go see Star Wars. You're losing money because nobody wants to see the movie.
See, to me, it's like I feel the same way. If people want to see your movie, they're gonna see your movie. It's not like, ooh, Star Wars or Hateful Eight, and then go see Star Wars. It's like, oh, I'll see Star Wars and then I'll go see Hateful Eight. Like your true fans are gonna go see it.
Yeah, and Hateful Eight isn't bad. It's not a bad movie.
It's definitely not his best.
It's a stereotypical Quentin Tarantino movie. I felt a lot of Pulp Fiction in it, personally. I think it's very good. I think the actors are great, but it doesn't have the same impact that a Django had or a Pulp Fiction had or a Reservoir Dogs had. It's just not that. And it's still fine. You can totally tell it's his movie.
Right.
But it's not a must see.
Okay, there's like an intermission. There's an overture.
That's
like
if you go to like the experience part of it.
Yeah.
If you just saw it like a regular in theaters kind of thing, there's no.
They put it in chapters.
Yeah.
He splits up in chapters. It's not like an intermission thing or anything. Yeah. If you went the one day, you saw it in like 30 millimeter.
70 millimeter.
70 millimeter. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And that was like the intermission thing and the overture and whatever. But that was like a one day thing, I think.
I don't know. His movie, this Hateful Eight, it's just like his way of reminding you, kind of like I'm still relevant and I can still make like my own kind of movies and blah blah. You know what I mean? Like it was just his way of showing you that he could still be himself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, we get it. Like nobody else is gonna do what you want to do, and so like to me, it was just like unnecessarily violent, or like they had language where you probably didn't need it. To me, I think language, like violent language, I'm saying, or like harsh language, should only be used like when it's needed. You know, like you're in an angry state or blah blah. But if you're just dropping F word after F word, then it's kind of like why?
Well, did
why
you
bother?
have that problem with Wolf of Wall Street?
A little bit. Sometimes it was a little like, okay.
But the problem is that Wolf of Wall Street is labeled a comedy.
Right.
It's labeled a comedy. None of Quentin Tarantino's movies are labeled as comedies.
Right. They're always named as like dramas or something.
Yeah.
Or action or
So cursing in the sake of comedy for comedies, it makes sense. Ted 2, they swear all the time.
Right. And then it's funny.
It's funny that way. But because of the drama, he was trying to bring that's his way of bringing out humor though, really. Is ridiculous, unneeded swearing and weird violence that shouldn't fit. Like there were times where like if somebody was shot, then like there was a huge blood splatter.
Right.
For like no reason.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. And it was just for comedic effect. It doesn't help the story along. It's just for him to be him and try to make comedy that way for him.
Like I understood. Like Kill Bill is probably my favorite Tarantino film, the first one, and that one I get the violence because it's like in those old kung fu movies. That's kind of how it was.
It's like every film. He's like a huge movie buff. I think with every film he tries to pay homage to the films that he loves, and I think
right.
Hateful Eight was kind of like that too.
But westerns, like when we were talking about it before, I bought a bunch of westerns, and we were saying how westerns were like the superhero movies. So when they were older, back then they were very like a lot more restricted on what they showed about as far as like violence and stuff like that. So you'd watch Magnificent Seven, when they killed a guy, it was just bam, he fell to the ground. That was it. There was really no blood. So if you're trying to play like homage to these movies, you wouldn't have the overbearing violence.
Right, because like what I've heard is that like the first two acts, I believe is like it's almost like very like detective, or we're trying to figure out who's the one who isn't like who he says he is.
Yes,
and like
Pretty
the
much.
final act is where we get the cartoonish Tarantino, where just blood, people are blowing up all over the place.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which
That's pretty
he's
much
been like
it.
that since I think Kill Bill. Before he was a little more restrained, or he had his violence spread out evenly in his films. More.
Yeah, now he kind of stacks it. Like, all right, so Kill Bill, when she kills like the 88 people or whatever like that was all within like 10 minutes. But then, like you're saying, with Pulp Fiction or like all those movies, it was like sprinkled throughout, so it didn't feel as like overbearing. Reservoir Dogs a little bit, but that's because the one guy was sitting in blood for the whole movie. But yeah, I don't like Tarantino as a person. I don't think he's a very good person. Just even the way he was when he won the Golden Globe. Oh, he didn't win it. The guy who wrote the music, whose name escapes me, won it, and he like accepted it on his behalf because he was old and couldn't make it or whatever. So he goes up there and he's like, "Oh, this guy's name is the best composer, like is my favorite composer ever. And he's like, and I'm not talking just movie composers. I'm talking like Bach and Mozart, and he's the best ever, and blah, 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 and like going on and on.
Then take a stab.
Yeah, he's like, and I'm not talking like ghetto music and like all this kind of, and
Jamie Foxx comes up, who was in Django, which is of Quentin Tarantino's. Goes, ghetto? What do you mean ghetto?
Yeah, and like was just being really arrogant, and like then everyone, when they get their award, you're supposed to like walk off the side stage. Like I guess you put your award somewhere, so it's not like you have to sit there and hold it. He walks right down the stairs, right back to his seat. It's like, listen, you've seen everybody else do it the whole show.
Like, we know you're an opinionated guy, but
right, and you beat your own drum and all this stuff, but it's kind of like
there's some like
at some point you kind of have to put on your little bit of a respect hat, and stuff like it. He just kind of seems like a little kid in like an adult's body.
Like he knows that now his work is like in textbooks now, so he feels like I can do shit. I can do
he
whatever I
goes.
want.
His whole thing is, I want to win more Oscars for my writing than anybody else, so that after a while they'll just start calling the award the Quentin.
Has he won an award once?
He's won for Reservoir Dog, for Pulp Fiction. I think Django. He's won like maybe 2. I'll get back to you on that. Hold on.
Okay.
I mean, you can make, but like Woody Allen, I think usually
Woody Allen has him beat for sure.
Gets like nominated, but he doesn't go out doing that. He doesn't even go.
He doesn't even go. He's like, I'd rather watch basketball. Somebody else get it for me. Even a Lifetime Achievement Award, I don't want it. He's like, I don't do it for the awards. I just do it for whatever. But in recent years, Woody Allen has had some trouble with like getting because his movies aren't as good as they were. But like at his peak from like 70s to like the early thousands, like when he was just pumping out like good ones and stuff like that, it was like every one of them was just like an Oscar nomination. Didn't always win, but he was getting like nomination.
Yeah, it was expected basically.
Right. Let's see.
What do you got?
I got distracted, so here we go.
Okay.
So he has 2 Oscars, one for Django for Best Original Screenplay, and one for Pulp Fiction. He was nominated for director and writing for Pulp Fiction, one for writing, nominated for directing and original screenplay for Inglourious Bastards, didn't win either, and then just for writing for Django.
I think also he shared, like, it was co-written, I think, Pulp Fiction with another writer, I believe.
Let's see.
I can't do that. That's a huge copyright thing.
Yeah, you can't. It says he wrote the story, and so did this guy, Roger Avery.
Roger Avery, yeah.
But the physical screenplay was Tarantino.
I believe that Roger Avery was kind of like involved with Quentin Tarantino's films in the early years, like in the 90s when he like dominated that decade.
Right.
I think after like Jackie Brown, I can't remember what actually happened, but yeah, he kind of
faded away.
Died or moved on or something like that.
Right, but he didn't get a single thing for Hateful Eight. I don't think even the music did. No, maybe the music, but that's about it. Like no. Hold on. Now I gotta get back into it.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't want to say wrong things. You know what I mean?
That's fine.
Okay, it's nominated for 3 Oscars. Hateful Eight. For supporting actress for Jennifer Jason Leigh, which was like cinematography, which was pretty good. And the musical score for Ennio Morricone. I'm probably butchering that name, but he won the Golden Globe for it, and that's who Tarantino accepted it for.
Okay.
Yeah. But John Williams is nominated this year, too, so who knows?
Yeah.
It's probably going to go to that guy. But
maybe. But it's John Williams.
And he only has like 10. So... in 50 nominations or something like. Didn't I tell you that one time?
He's an old white guy, so.
That's right. So he's got a good chance versus the old Italian guy.
Yeah.
So he's white too, but he's a minority. So they'd be like, "Hey, you're kind of brown, so you can't win."
Yeah.
Should we go with the Oscars now? We kind of mentioned them.
We can we don't say
briefly.
like picks or anything, but we can talk about the controversy if you want to.
All right, since it's fairly relevant. So 2nd year in a row now that it is an all-white acting category. Cast. I guess we'll say cast. For supporting actor, supporting actress, actor, and actress. All white. I think all the directors are white, too.
I believe so, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we know the controversy exists. We know that the Academy is just a bunch of old white people.
Old white men.
Old white men. So we do here at Geekcast believe that there is a problem.
Right.
And we do believe that things should change.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are also strong believers that if it's all about the awards for you as an actor or director or writer, then that is a problem. That it shouldn't have to be about that. It should really be about you putting out work there because you want to do it and you do it for the fans. Ice Cube said that he wasn't worried about or too overly concerned or pissed off about the Oscar thing because you should be making it for the fans, the people who give you the money. You should be worrying about the awards and everything, which I think is a good mentality to have because it doesn't get you so revved up every time during award season. Again, we still agree that there is a total problem in the Academy. The fact that not a single one for like Will Smith for Concussion, not even nominated.
Or like Ryan Coogler for Creed for directing.
Oh my goodness, Michael B. Jordan,
Idris Elba for Beast of No Nation.
Especially, I think that's the biggest one for me is Idris Elba for Beast of No Nation supporting actor. Holy crap!
Yeah,
holy crap!
I can't remember his name. Who directed it?
Oh, Cary Fukunaga.
At least a consideration. But yeah,
I think he shot it too. I think he did the cinematography.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? And there's like people like boycotting and stuff, but like think about it this way: is a movie that doesn't win, like let's say Revenant wins this year, doesn't mean those other movies that are Best Picture nominees aren't good movies. Or just because you didn't get nominated doesn't mean your performance wasn't good or your movie wasn't good or whatever. It's just like they had to pick so many choices.
And it's like with like Leo DiCaprio, like even though he hasn't won, I think like 5 times he's been nominated, we still know he's a great actor, but it's just the fact, okay, we still want him just to get that level of recognition.
It's kind of like that icing on the cake that really kind of
that too.
Seals the deal where you're just like, oh, you have that actor that, oh, he's really good, but how much better is he looked at when you're like, oh, he's an Academy Award winning actor or she's an Academy Award winning actor or actress or whatever it is,
But yeah, DiCaprio has
it adds that little bit.
DiCaprio has said in the past that like he is like honored that people are so vocal about just why the Academy won't nominate him, but even he's just I'm just about the craft, guys.
Yeah.
So he says that, but I think if he wins it this year, I think his mindset will change a little bit.
We can talk about the Revenant if we want to after this. It's probably a good one to talk about.
You saw it?
I did see it, yeah. Twice.
But yeah, I mean, and there's also the problem where they had 10. They could have picked 10 for Best Picture.
Yeah, they had 2 empty slots.
But they only picked 8.
I don't know why they do that.
So it's dumb. It's
really,
if
you're
dumb.
Making the rule to add that you can do up to 10, why not do 10 every year?
8 or 9.
Because what's the big deal?
Who cares if they're not going to win or there's no point of them winning? Have the nomination there.
Right. Exactly.
10.
I think the one. I didn't see Carol, but supposedly a lot of people thought that Carol was going to be one of them.
Yeah, you could have done that, Creed, or actually Inside Out, which I was kind of surprised I didn't get nominated.
Well, it got nominated for animated feature, though, right? It's probably going to win.
Sometimes it's kind of common that for Pixar movies also to get nominated for Best Picture.
I think Up was the last one to do it, right?
Yeah, it was.
I think it's going to win for Best Animated Picture. I also think maybe for Best Original Script, too.
Yeah, I can see that, too.
A really good
you know that they're using that movie now to help kids understand that it's okay to talk about their emotions and something like in psychology and stuff like that.
I read a couple articles from actual pediatricians and psychologists who say how they depicted emotions and how it should be represented was actually very accurate.
And if you really look at the movies and stuff like that, when they go into the parents' head and stuff and who's in the charge and stuff, so
it's
for
really
the kids it's joy, for the father it's anger, and for the mother it's sadness. And it's kind of weird to look at and stuff like that. I gotta watch it again.
To those characters as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a great movie.
The voice cast is great too. Amy Poehler's Joy and
the woman for Sadness, the chick from The Office,
Phyllis, Phyllis Smith.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, she was.
Louis Black is Anger.
I'm not a big fan of him, but I do think he was a good choice for Anger, because he's got that voice and stuff. And then Bill Hader was Fear, which I think could have been really anybody, but he did a good job. And Mindy Kaling is Disgust, which I always forget that that's an emotion to be disgusted or whatever. Yeah.
She just has great oh my god, that kind of voice,
right?
She's
that Valley Girl.
Yeah, she does a really good job of that.
A little bit more
that role.
And they're supposed to look like things that fit their emotions.
Sadness is supposed to look like a teardrop,
right? And Disgust is supposed to look like broccoli. That's why she's green and that's funny.
Fear is supposed to look like a nerve,
right?
So, yeah.
I don't know what Joy is. I guess a star or something.
Actually, I think it is a star. Actually, yeah.
And then Anger, I don't know what he is.
A brick. It's supposed to be a red brick.
A red brick?
Yeah.
How does that have to do with Angus?
My favorite parts of Inside Out were when they go to like other people's heads at the very end of the movie. Like when Riley runs into that teenage boy and all of the people, all the emotions inside
girl,
freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a short they just put out.
Riley's first date.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really, really funny where the dad and the kid bond over playing like AC/DC and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
Yeah, no, that was a good movie.
Very, very good. We can talk about The Revenant now.
Okay.
The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and directed by
Alejandro G. Iñárritu,
who was the director for Birdman, who won all those awards last year.
which I didn't like Birdman, but I loved Revenant.
Mm-hmm. Revenant is it's a draining movie.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you're gonna see it, like it's kind of like American Sniper.
Yes.
Where it's one of those movies where you leave the theater and everybody's just like totally silent, but not like totally silent as like nobody like enjoyed it or whatever. Like, just totally silent, like wow, like what the fuck just happened?
You kind of had to digest all that.
It was like that both times when I saw it. Yeah.
It was really like that for Sniper. Like silence. I never saw that before in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was just silent. That was, I think, more for respect
Yeah.
than anything else. This one was just because it was so much
Yeah.
that you're watching.
And it follows Leonardo DiCaprio, who is a white man who lays with a Native American woman, and they have a son. And travelers and
Well, that's before the movie.
He's like
it's before the movie.
He's
but
a frontiersman.
I'm giving it a backstory. God damn it! Let me do my fucking.
We
job.
could have just said he has a Native American son.
But they have pioneers and travelers who killed his entire village.
Fur trappers and stuff, right?
Fur trappers for the Native American village. So his wife's dead, but he still has a son, and they're still with the fur trappers, and they're still trying to avoid confrontation with another Native American tribes who are trying to kill them for their fur to give to the French.
And his name is Hugh Glass. I don't know if you said that.
Hugh Glass did not say that.
Okay, yeah. His name is Hugh Glass.
And in the process of trying to get away from the Native American tribe that's trying to kill them, he's trying to hunt this huge grizzly bear.
Mm-hmm.
And through a long and just grody and gruesome battle, finally kills the bear, but is like terribly wounded, like on the verge of death.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to still keep him alive. They have him like on a gurney type thing, and still.
Are you giving this whole movie?
Do you want me to?
Short version.
Short version.
Look, there's a fur trapper in the 1820s played by Leo DiCaprio who gets attacked by the bear and left for dead, and then goes on a revenge plan to kill the people that were involved. There's the plot of the movie.
Sorry, guys.
More economic way.
Well, just because it's like, okay, we get it. The bear have it's like they want to go see it. You don't have to tell them the whole plot.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's really hot in here.
Oh, it's terribly hot.
It's like a sauna.
I'm opening the door. It's
Yeah.
really hot in here. I'm like lethargic right now. Yeah, he goes on a revenge thing to kill
Mostly Tom Hardy's character.
Fitzgerald. Yep.
Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Fucking dickhead Fitzgerald, man. I'll tell you what. But it's just so. It's just really interesting. It's just I don't know how to
They
describe
don't really
it.
pull any punches. They really just show you just some of the shit that these guys went through during like the 1840s, 1820s.
In like North and South Dakota.
It's just that life sucked. It really did. Like your life expectancy was like 40.
Yeah, if that. Like
Shot in all natural lighting too. Really
which
impressive.
looks beautiful.
Oh,
Really
God,
impressive.
gorgeous.
That's what took them 9 months to shoot it. To the point that they were shooting it up in Canada and probably would have done the whole thing in Canada, but because they were running long with the natural light idea, they had to move to Argentina towards the end of the shoot because the seasons are opposite and everything, so they had to go down here. They wanted all like untreaded like territory where like basically like Native Americans live.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if some of those like wide shots of like the landscape if that was like actually there or that was like just CG. Because I was trying to think like, guys, is there
They said
anything that's not?
they used CG sparingly. I
Okay.
bet really the only time it was used was like
Was
the
the bear.
bear and like the bison,
Which was
when they run
amazing,
by.
just how like, and that bear got really up close to the camera, but it still looked realistic.
I've seen a picture of what like the bear looks like when they were filming it. It looks really funny.
Yeah.
It's like basically a dude in like big blue like football pads with like a kind of bear looking helmet on, like with a face guard, and like he had to like flip Leo over and
Apparently, like when the
like make noises and stuff like
they had
that.
to be in like awkward positions on.
Yeah, I'm sure it was weird to film that stuff.
Yeah.
But Leo's going. He really wants that Oscar. I'm telling you. And there's a part where he has to eat something not so pleasant, and he actually eats it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'll let you figure that out. But
and also sleep in something not very pleasant, and he doesn't.
Well, that was fake, but
but still, like
still
they made it look
gross.
pretty.
Yeah. But what he actually ate, that was real.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a gelatin or something like that, because he said it wouldn't look good. So the reaction he has is like genuine. He's like throwing it up and stuff, and they kept it in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it was shooting at like really late at night, really in the morning, it was like 5 a.m. when they were shooting all this stuff, all the natural lighting in there. It was just so cool.
Yeah, so like the cinematographers would have had a tough time, because they would have been like, okay, the light looks good, let's go, and like run out there and like film it real quick and stuff. But I guess it's easier because you don't have to set up lights. But
I think like my only problems with the film were just brief moments when the director really wanted to say something with the visuals, and it was just a little too much for me.
Okay.
I've had problems with his other films like that. I think like the Beautiful one with Javier Bardem, where he has brief moments where he just wants to really be deep and philosophical with his visuals, but they come off more as pretentious.
I was taken out a little bit, like when they would have the visions of his wife and she's like floating and like all this kind of stuff.
And also like there's a part where like kind of like a little dove like just comes out of her like her shirt and flies away. Like is that supposed to be like her spirit? And just
it was
kind of
like
a little much.
Like okay, somebody wants an Oscar,
like Oscar-bation,
right?
Oscar-bation. Damn. That was clever.
Coined.
That was clever.
Gotta coin that.
That was clever.
But yeah, those kind of things, you're kind of like, okay, somebody's hunting for his second award or however many it is. But
it's well deserved if he gets it.
Yeah,
it's
totally
definitely well deserved.
Yeah, the direction of everything else was great.
Mm-hmm.
Cinematography, you might have to get it.
Yeah, I want to see Deakins win, but I don't want to see him win for the Sicario, which I didn't. I think it's how you say it.
I heard that was good.
I want to see it.
I want to see that too.
But
I heard it was really
from what
good.
I could tell of the cinematography, it didn't look like his top, like his best. And I feel like I want to see him win at his best, which was Skyfall or No Country for Old Men, and he didn't. So I'd rather like, all right, give it to this guy for the third year in a row, and then like Deakins come back with like something really strong, which probably isn't going to be Coen Brothers film.
He's not doing Hail Caesar, I guess.
He is.
He is? Okay.
Yeah, but that's not. That one's probably very much just like, okay, let's just make it look
I
nice.
think what's really going to be what's going to be great is like the set design and like production design. I think of that's going to look great.
Production and costume
I
design.
definitely want to see that one. That one was really good.
Yeah, that one looks a little bit back towards like their humor stuff instead of like, let's go dark for a while.
And they're kind of doing like a kidnap case, which is they do a lot in like more of their dark comedies.
I love Clooney as a comedy actor.
I do too.
I think
more as a dramatic
he's
actor.
so funny. I think we talked about him in the Very Merry Christmas maybe a little bit. Did we talk about that on the show?
We did. You guys, I didn't see it, but I think Dan saw it.
I saw it. Yeah.
So he's in A Very Merry Christmas, which basically just follows Bill Murray trying to perform this like Christmas show, but New York's like snowed in. He can't really get it going. But George Clooney's in it, and he's in it for a song. And he just like pops like around behind trees, like saying his part. It's just so funny. It's really funny.
And they're one of those that, like a Tarantino, that use a lot of the same, and David O. Russell, that use a lot of the same actors and like stuff like that. But I'm one of those people. I'm cool with it. As long if you get like a good relationship with people and like get good performances out of, why not?
About like Johnny Depp and Tim Burton just
right. Yeah, I guess
every
there's
film,
a lot of
honestly, they have a form. They know how to make it work.
Or examples, I mean, yeah, Martin
David
Scorsese,
Russell and Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper.
Right. Which Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, I'll watch movies with those two for as long as I can.
Did
like
you see
they're
Joy?
so good together. I did.
I did not.
And
how was that?
You can talk about it.
I wouldn't say it was one of my least favorite movies of the year, but I definitely wouldn't put it in my top movies. I think it was probably my least favorite David O. Russell in his recent years, like the recent 4 or 5 that he did. Silver Linings Playbook, as many would know, is probably my favorite of his movies. But this one, it never really kind of gets off the ground. It kind of like, if you picture it as like a plane, it's kind of just like it just kind of has these up and down moments, but it never really gets like soaring that you're like, oh, this climax is really building up and all this stuff. And like, it just kind of like very steady, kind of like this happens. And then she gets the mop deal and then like, oh, whatever. And like her performance was solid, but everyone else's was just kind of there.
Even De Niro?
Even De Niro's part was kind of small.
Small? Oh, okay.
Like, he plays her father this time around, and, like, Bradley Cooper plays, like, a co-worker kind of thing. and both of their parts were just nothing to rave about. It seemed more or less like you could have had anybody play those parts, but they used those actors because they're friends. The kind of thing like, oh, I'm going to make a movie with my friends, even though they're really like their talents are better served elsewhere, but we're making movies with our friends, so I'll just put them here and here. So that's kind of how it played out. And like supposedly the story really wasn't that, like it really didn't happen that way or something like that. They took a lot of liberties with the story, and like David O. Russell was like okay with it, like doing that and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Jennifer Lawrence's part was solid, but not Oscar winning worthy. Nomination, yes. Winning, no.
What time are we at right now?
We're at about 45 minutes.
We're good.
You want to get into DC?
I'd rather have a part 1 and part 2.
Okay, what do you want to talk about more? Or you want to stop it here?
I think we should stop it. Unless there's anything else.
I'll just talk about 16 so far, what I've seen. Big Short, which we talked about already. 13 Hours. I don't know. Did you either of you see it?
I wasn't really interested in seeing that. No.
That was about the Benghazi thing, which happened in 2012, that Hillary Clinton's in trouble a lot now for the Benghazi files and emails and stuff. And basically it was, let me see if I make sure I say this correctly. It was like these Benghazi terrorists attack an embassy where a senator was, or not a senator, like an ambassador, the U.S. ambassador was, and this secret like American base that was really close by, within like a mile of it, like with like maybe 6 or 7 soldiers there, goes in and like helps them, and like then it leads back to their base, which was classified and all this stuff or whatever, and so they have to like fight them off or whatever in this 13-hour time. And I say for a Michael Bay film it was good because typically
what made me not want to see it was the fact that he directed it.
Right.
Like it's funny, like if it was like done by like the woman
Catherine Bigelow.
If it was Catherine Bigelow, then like sure, actually I would have been really interested.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like Bay isn't at that point in his career where it's like Shyamalan, it's like almost like box office poison or just
and I wasn't gonna see it. My dad had wanted to see it. We had saw like 4 movies in a row with each other and stuff, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll see it if it's his type of movie and my type of movie and stuff. So we went, and I was surprisingly like satisfied.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. Like the explosions were and like action was like explained well, or like fitting to what was happening, and like the acting was pretty top notch. John Krasinski from The Office was in it.
Yeah. He's on like men's fitness magazines everywhere. The dude is jacked now.
He got pretty good in shape.
Crap.
They show you in the movie because they want to show him off, whatever. But it was a very different role from playing Jim, who's very like more like softer, and like this role was like different for him. And I just found out that he was actually one of the finalists to play Captain America before Chris Evans got the job. Like it was gonna be like one of those two, and I was kind of like, I don't know.
See anyone else other than Chris
Evans. Chris Evans does a really good job.
He made that his own.
But now John Krasinski's like, all right, well, if I can't be Captain America, I want to play a Marvel villain. He doesn't know which one, but he says he wants to do a villain. But
why Marvel?
Digressing.
Come to DC. Be Hal Jordan.
That could be a good one. That'd be a good one.
I think he can make it work.
Yeah. I can't really see him as a villain because he just doesn't have that.
Oh, you know who I thought of when I was working at Toys R Us over winter break, and I was putting the wrestling toys away? I thought of somebody that might be good for Shazam. And you're gonna say no, I know it, but it's okay. Randy Orton.
Nah.
That's what I thought.
Well, I mean,
look-wise, specifically just for looks.
Maybe. My problem is with the WWE coming into like the acting realm is that it's never really been good. The best role that any WWE wrestler's ever played in any movie was Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride. Best role.
Right. Didn't see that.
I can't believe you haven't seen Princess Bride.
I know it's
on
my very long list of movies to see.
But like going off that, we're like I think people were gunning for Ronda Rousey as like Captain Marvel. Like, yeah, I agree. I think she obviously has a build. She has the look for it, but she can't act for
her acting isn't.
Oh, yeah, she's been on SNL.
She doesn't have the acting chops to carry an entire
I watched
film.
a bunch of the SNL skits. They were not funny.
Oh, did you see the one about statutory rape?
Some of it. I stopped it because I didn't think it was funny.
That one's,
I didn't like the Bachelor one. That just went on for too long.
Yeah, like, oh, excuse me, can I cut in here?
Yeah.
the one about statutory rapes, like it's pretty fucked up, and there's like a lot of people who are pissed off about that.
Yeah.
Like, because SNL's basically making fun of the whole thing where like if a male teacher has sex with a female teacher, it's like an abomination. But if a male teacher has sex with a female student, but if it's a male student having sex with a female teacher, he's praised. And for the one with Ronda Rousey, he had who was it? It was who's the
Cecily Strong was the other one?
who's the gray guy in SNL?
The gray guy?
He's like his skin is like gray.
Oh, I know. One of the newer guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
He has sex with Cecily Strong and Ronda Rousey, and he's like being praised for it. And it I don't want to say it's funny. Because it's like...
Well, it is supposed to be satire. Like, that's what we love to understand.
It is satire, but, like, people are, like, really upset that
it's a very touchy subject.
They're doing
really
it. And I understand why people are really upset, and I'm more upset because of just how...
It just wasn't funny?
No, just how, like, left side of the entire organization of, like, SNL is and NBC and whatever, but they're making fun of statutory rape. Like, if all, like... types of people to do it. Like, you never thought it'd be like these people. That's my thing with it.
Well, SNL is so hit or miss nowadays.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it really comes down to the host, which is a shame because you think that the cast should be able to hold it, whoever the host is. Mm-hmm. But it really comes down to if it's a funny, and actually it ends up being funnier a lot of the times when it's like a singer that's not typically funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes like then the cast will step up.
Yeah.
But like, or if it's
Justin
like a drama
Timberlake
actor, or, something like that.
One of the best hosts every single time, hands down, is Justin Timberlake.
Him, Tom Hanks does a good job. Like the Five Timers Club. Like there's a reason they come back a lot.
Alec Baldwin does some good stuff.
He has some funny ones. Like Sweaty Balls will always be like one of my favorites. But that's when he was like on it, I think, right? Or no, he was hosting it.
He was hosting it. That was back with like Molly Shannon though.
But like
Sherry O'Terry.
She's funny. One of my favorite. Yeah, she is. I got to that already. One of my more recent, the ones I like a lot was the Star Wars Undercover Boss. I thought that was really clever.
That was really good.
I knew that they were going to do a Star Wars skit. It's kind of like when they have Chris Hemsworth on. You knew that they were going to do an Avengers skit. Like that's just what they got to do. And I was kind of like, what are they going to do with this? And so the Undercover Boss thing, I was like, that's pretty clever. Mm-hmm. Thought that was well thing. It's like we knew you were Kylo Ren the whole time. Ever since you said I was Matt.
Yeah. I think my favorite cast member of SNL by far is Taron Killam.
Yeah, same.
He's just so all around funny, and I think I like him more just because I've seen him in previous things before I saw him in SNL. So I've seen him he was in that Stuck in the Suburbs movie in Disney Channel back in like 2003, and then he got fat, and he's actually in Scrubs in season 7 and 8, I think.
Okay. As
Jimmy the Overly Touchy Orderly, and there's an episode where they come up with like a sketch show, and he does like his impressions, which are hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then seeing him on SNL, it's like, oh my god, I've seen this guy in other things before. Now he's doing this. It's so funny. It's so great.
Yeah, no, he's solid. I'm trying to think.
He's also married to Kobe Smulders, which I find mind blowing.
That's right. I'm trying to think. As far as like probably the funniest female on there is Kate McKinnon.
Her
impressions
alien
are good.
Abduction bit. Oh,
which one is she?
She's the one that does the Hillary Clinton.
Justin Bieber too. As
okay.
well.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
She's probably the funniest female
like,
on her. Yeah, like hey everybody, I'm great.
What's up, girl?
Like, yeah, she does good Ellen. She does a good pretty good Hillary.
Tina Fey came back to do Sarah Palin.
And Amy Poehler as Hillary again.
Yeah, for that Night of Hillary or something. Mm-hmm. No, the Tina Fey Sarah Palin is perfect.
Spot on.
It's actually sometimes I kind of
I couldn't tell the difference.
I get confused actually sometimes.
They look
like,
very
they really
similar.
Do.
Yeah, that sells it for me. And I'm glad, as much as I like Taron Killam, I'm glad they changed Trump to this guy because the guy they got for Trump now is perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's like it's really cool and everything, and it's really great. Like he has the manner, and he actually like looks like him.
He does. It's when I have to do like a double.
Is it Bobby Moynihan? Is that who?
I don't know who. That's not Bobby Moynihan, but I don't know who. I feel like they brought him on just to do Trump.
I remember
I've never seen him. I remember
seeing it's not Taron Killam, but I couldn't figure out who it was in the cast.
Yeah, but originally it was Taron Killam, and he did like one skit, and then they got this guy, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna give it to him.
Yeah,
that kind of what happened with. Jay Farrow taking over as Obama, yeah. Which you have to understand, like if it's funnier with somebody else, give it to them. Versus Fred Armisen, who's not even like black.
Yeah,
you know.
On Comedy Central now, in like the afternoons, they started playing old reruns of SNL, and I love watching it. And by far, my favorite part of the reruns is the Weekend Update.
Really?
Yeah, with Seth Meyers. And like,
see, I don't find him funny.
Occasionally, I find him funny.
I find him funny because he always has one like dark joke. in his lineup, and it hits, and every time it hits, it just hits so well. Because she's like, oh my god! But like when Amy Poehler comes on to do it with him, that's always fun to see that.
Right.
But yeah, honestly, that was my favorite part.
Amy Poehler and TFA when they like do I think the weekend update, that was great.
Yeah, when they were on there. Yeah. All right. Well, that's we're finishing 2016. So 13 hours, very good movie. Worth a watch maybe once. Wouldn't buy it, wouldn't, all that kind of stuff, but watch it once. What else have I seen so far? Revenant, we talked about. Big Short. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Dan and I are going to see Dirty Grandpa tonight.
We'll let you know what we think of it next week.
Mm-hmm. We're pretty excited.
I'm
excited.
Unless we're doing part 2 on Sunday.
We're doing part 2 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Oh, so then we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let you know.
We can't for a bit, but I think tomorrow is the majority going to be talking about DC Week. We're going to be talking about the actual DC Week. I
couldn't imagine talking about Dirty Grandpa for more than like 5 minutes. So
yeah, we can just give a brief review.
Yeah.
But that's really here for the next part 2 of episode 20. DC Week, while that happened, all the spoilers that came out, as well as our projections maybe for Deadpool, because we're definitely going to see Deadpool when that comes out.
What's that, a week or about 2 weeks from now, right?
Comes out on
Hail
Tuesday.
Caesar comes out before.
Comes out on Tuesday, February 2nd, isn't it?
12th.
Oh, it's the 12th.
12th.
Yeah, when
Hail Caesar comes out, I think, a week before. I think.
So we can go see that too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I love the Coen brothers.
Same here.
But all the stuff is happening with Arrow and Flash. Also, DC Legends of Tomorrow has premiered last week on Thursday, which we're enjoying.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
it, but
I'm still in it. Yeah,
we'll talk about that more.
It's not as bad as Supergirl. Let's put it that way. Or early Supergirl.
Yeah.
I feel like it's getting better now that we stopped watching it with Martian Manhunter and all that.
Yeah.
So I might have to catch up on it on some point.
Yeah.
Same here.
But that's it for this part 1 of episode 20 of the Geekcast podcast. Make sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our social media presence is not strong, but it's still there.
Thank you, Patrick.
Be sure to do that. Tell your friends, and party on.
Don't smoke in school. Get good grades. Study hard. Get a good job. And always tip your waitress.
And know your pets, too.
Cool. See you tomorrow, gang.